They're still building coal-fired power plants, not only within China, but outside of China. The discussions around China are interesting because China is also out front in areas like solar energy. And so depending on how you look at it, China is playing a very positive role. The main thing about China, of course, is just its size. It's so big. It wasn't even constrained by the Kyoto Protocol for needing to limit its emissions. And then what happened was the Chinese economy exploded and emissions went up this exponential growth curve. And now US emissions are dwarfed by China's emissions, whereas not long ago it was the other way around. That explosive growth there's a lot of capital that's been sunk to achieve that growth. So to bring about reductions, you not only need to stop new investment in obvious areas like coal-fired power stations, but also you need to transform the investment that's already taken place over a period of time. And that's a huge undertaking. Now, there are different other things in play here. I mean, one for sure is going to be that China, like every other country, is vulnerable to climate change. So there will be a recognition that China's long-term development will be compromised by these investments that are being made to satisfy its short-term development. There are other issues as well, including local air pollution. But it won't always be the case that that the measures that are taken to limit local air pollution will necessarily reduce CO2 emissions. It depends how that's done. For example, the US reduced a lot of air pollution emissions through use of scrubbing devices for electric power plants. Those scrubbing devices actually need energy to operate and can actually increase CO2 emissions. So how the air pollution is addressed is going to be important. And another thing about that air pollution is that climate change is affected not only by the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, but also the reflectivity of the Earth. And that reflectivity is not just on the surface, but also in the atmosphere. And those emissions that are harmful to human health also reflect light away from the Earth and cool the planet. And so as those pollution emissions are reduced, there's going to be an increase in heat worldwide. So there's a lot that has to be done to assure China's development and the well-being of its people, and that's interlinked with the entire global system. It's a general message for all countries that their short-term development, may seem obvious what they need to do. They need energy, of course, to replace human labor, basically. But their long-term development is going to depend on protecting the natural system that we're all a part of.